Hello and welcome to another solo episode on the Traumweberinnen Podcast. My name is Manuela and I'm your host. And I'm actually not sure what I'm going to be talking about this time. I have a couple of things in mind. I feel like this is really a time where major cycles are ending. I don't know if you have felt this last new moon, beginning of November. For me, that was a crazy changing time, or a cycle ending time. I felt like huge shifts or like huge stones pummeling down to the earth, or restrictions being opened. And I had a couple of moments where I was really able to feel everything that I have learned this whole year and everything that I've gone through this whole year, and that has built me as a person, that has strengthened me, and all. Basically, no, not just this past year, but I had a couple of moments where I was really like, oh my God, everything that I've been through my entire life makes sense, or has kind of paved the way for me to be who I am today. And people who know me know that change has been a constant throughout my life, from my childhood into adolescence, into being a young adult, up until the past couple of years. My life is changing so fast, and there are so many death and rebirth cycles that are just bam, 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 bam in my life. And as a child or as a young adult, that was a hard pill to swallow. But I feel like as children, we are generally more resilient, or more on the bright side of life, so that we can, or at least I was able to deal with that. Definitely not in the most healthy way, and I have my wounds from that time that are coming up for me now, and that I was re-examining during this new moon. A lot of old wounds where I was like, I thought I was over that, but they've come up once more for me to look at them and to be like, I'm a grown woman now. I'm an adult, and I can take myself by the hand and guide me through the next death and rebirth steps. And as I have grown older, I have come to embrace change more. Obviously, in the beginning stages of change, there is a lot of grief, and there is a lot of nostalgia, and there is a lot of, why is this happening? This comes with change that is thrust upon you, and that comes with change that you yourself initiate. And with my parents splitting, obviously that was a huge change. And then changing schools and moving out of my home, changing relationship, or like leaving relationships. There were just a lot of death and rebirth moments in my life. And I feel like I'm someone who has had a little bit more of that than other people. And that's why I know that even the changing periods that you do not have any say in are upheavals where after that you can still reap what you have dug up, or what the universe has made you go through. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. And I just really, in this time of cycle ending and cycle beginning that we are now in, I feel like I just really want to remind you that for everything that you let go of, you make space energetically, in your mindset, in your surroundings. And you basically say to the environment, I know that I've outgrown something, and I'm ready for the next best thing. I'm ready for the next level. You can also say this in terms of what you think, like your thought patterns. I'm just someone who, and I'm pretty sure that you girls can feel this too. Like, you go through life and you're just this beautiful, nice being, and you just love your friends, you love your life, you love who you are, but still there are certain people that reappear in your life, not as the same person, but as the same persona type, that just trigger you to the core and who do not treat you as nicely as you walk out into the world. And same for me, I seem to be attracting a certain type of person over and over again, and I seem to not get rid of attracting them. And I'm like, how can this be? I'm trying so hard, or I'm a very, like, I like harmony. I like to get along with people. I'm not the one, I don't want to argue too much. I give you your space, and I just really want you to respect my space. And certain people will just come and invade your space, and I'm just really bad at setting boundaries. And I get invited over and over again with certain people to really draw those boundaries. And it's a miracle how they keep reappearing in your life when you're like, I thought I had been on this healing journey for so long now and have outgrown these people. But I seem to keep attracting them in order to reevaluate, like observe how I treat myself and how I draw those boundaries, and do I draw those boundaries? And it's just a constant questioning. Like, right now, for me, I feel like I'm in a phase where the universe is like, you're pretty good at certain stuff when it comes to healing. You're pretty good at at being kind and at getting along with people and looking at life from the bright side. And I'm really good at dealing with every circumstance and every situation that is thrown my way. I'm really flexible. I'm pretty good at adapting. But there are certain types of people where I'm just like, I can't. And I'm someone who's like, no matter who you are, I will respect you. And there are certain people that do not respect me back. And then I ask myself the question, who do I want to be? Like, do I want to aggressively set the boundary and just really fall out with that person? Do I want to gently set the boundary? Do I want to set the boundary at all? And that also depends on my energy. That I have, like, my energy resources of the day. And it's just so interesting for me to see that I feel like I'm now really at a crossroads where I can't turn a blind eye to these people anymore. Like, I'm really challenged to step into my power now, but I have never done that. I've never experienced that. I have never been this super argumentative and just very secure in herself person. And I mean, obviously in certain areas I am very secure. And I think that's part of life, that you have certain areas where you're like, do not cross me or I will kill you. And then there are certain areas of your life where you're like, I just don't care enough to really enforce my belief system here and my boundaries and my self-worth, basically. Because I've always been this kind of a person who was like, choose your battles, because you do not have enough energy to battle everyone. And this is something that I'm really challenged with right now, to stand up for myself with certain people that are like my parents and who trigger me to the moon and back, I tell you. And that is so interesting because I felt like I was already so far along, and then there come those people and you're like, oh my god, I feel like I'm a kindergartner. I feel like 3 years old when that person talks to me, and I have literally no advice to give you with these people. And when you can't run away, like that's another thing. Like I used to run away from these people, and in certain areas of your life, in certain situations, that is totally valid, and it's always an outweighing of, is this an important situation for me? Do I want to stay in this situation, or do I want to stay in this at this company? Do I want to stay in this circle of friends? Do you want to stay in this club, in this, group of people? Because then you have to get along with certain kinds of people. And for me, it was always like I would get along, or I would try to be in my power and try to step up until I was like, oh, come on, this workplace, this group of people is just not worth all of this energy, and I would quit and I would run away. And now I'm in a group where I'm like, no, I want to stay. And there is this one person that really triggers me and that does not treat me very well. And this is the first time where I'm like, I really want to get over this now. I really want to not run away, and I really want to stay, and I really want to get behind what is happening here. And I know that it's a dynamic that is a very familiar dynamic, because it has been reappearing my whole life. And I do feel like that it started in my childhood, because it reminds me a lot. It puts me a lot in this children's position, in this dynamic that I had with my parents. And for the first time, I'm like really angry that there are people who treat other people like this, and that I'm in a position where I feel like I have to be mean, or I have to be unkind, or I have to be brutal, or I have to be like, I feel most myself when I can just be kind to people and understanding, and when I can use kind words and be respectful and be very aware of the boundary between me and another person. But when when the other person is just the opposite of that and disrespecting everything that I put out, that is super, super hard for me. And I think that as a child, I just was never powerful enough to respond to that and to stand up for myself. And I'm still caught in that dynamic, and it's very, very hard for me to get out of that dynamic and to really step fully into my power, and to stop using kind words and being respectful, and to mirror to that other person. But the funny thing is that the other person, and that is something that I've noticed, and that is so interesting, that from my point of view, the other person is disrespectful, and I'm clinging on to the last bit of kindness that is in my heart. And the other person is feeling the exact same way towards me, feeling like I am the unkind one and I am the bully, when I feel like it's exactly the opposite way. And I think that is, from a social perspective and also from an energetic perspective, so interesting to see, and to like consciously feel this dynamic and be like, I see and feel and observe everything of this. I have looked at this through every energetic, psychologically analytic glass that I can look through. But in the situation, it's so hard for me to not replay that dynamic that has been going on and triggering me my whole life. And I'm so tired of this, and I'm so angry that after 25 years, I'm still replaying the same pattern. I don't know if you're experiencing similar triggers. I feel like I'm on it, and it's something where I put a lot of energy toward this right now, because everything else in my life feels super calm and feels super unicorn, glittery, perfect. Like I feel really good with everything else. I mean, obviously I also struggle with the same little daily stuff that everybody struggles with having bad days and good days and all that. But I am generally at a really good place right now, and it could be so smooth sailing if there wasn't this one person triggering me. And yeah, can't give you any advice on it except to observe it. Like that is my first step. I was observing what I get from the other person. Like we do talk about certain events and try to be friends. We both try, and I do honor that in the other person, but I feel like we both trigger each other, and that's just a really interesting dynamic, and also that it keeps reoccurring. That's just interesting from my part, and that there are definitely things from my childhood that I have not healed yet, or that I have not looked at yet. I think the bridge that I wanted to make from cycle ending, there can be huge changes in cycles ending and beginning that are really outwardly visible, like when you lose or leave a job, when you lose or leave a relationship, when you move from one country to another, when you lose your family, when you lose loved ones, when you leave loved ones. These are outwardly visible. And then there is the kind of change that happens slowly over time in yourself. Like when you go through life and you go through these changing periods, you yourself change, your mindset changes. All of your experiences shape you. Your childhood shapes you. Challenges shape you. Success also shapes you. The people you surround yourself shape and change you. And for myself, I'm someone who loves exploring and who loves transformation. And I love exploring new ways of, be it with friends, and be it with people, be it with the job, with the living situation. And it's perfectly okay if you're not that kind of a person. Maybe you are, but I bet that there have been changes occurring in your life that have shaped you and that have changed the way you're thinking. And I think that when we regularly re-examine the way we think about these changes, the way our mind works. Oh my god, I say the way a lot. Okay. Let me say this in a way that is more understandable. Like when you use these shifting periods to really re-examine how you think and how you block yourself from being happy in these situations, or like being fulfilled in these situations. I know that this is so hard, and I'm speaking from experience that when you're in the middle of a changing period that you yourself have not initiated, or even if you yourself have initiated it, things can be really heavy, and the situation can really weigh you down. And if then you do not have people that support you, that can as well weigh you down. So I do not at all want to minimize how hard it can be for you in those changing periods, in those cycle ending periods. But when you get out of it and you just continue living your life and you do not look back and you do not re-examine, I think you rob yourself of an amazing opportunity to learn from that, to grow from that, and to to reap the rewards basically of that. I, for myself, really enjoy upheaval and changing periods, not in the moment. In the moment, it's hard and survival kicks in, and you're like, I just need to go through that period. But once the dust has settled in and once everything has calmed down again, when you re-examine who you were before that, and when you get clear on who you want to be now after that and who you want to be in the future, there is enormous potential there. And I feel like these are the periods where the clay is still workable. The clay is still warm, and it's like this, you can shape. It's this beautiful window between two worlds where your life, you as a person, your mindset, your personality is warm and gluey, and you can shape something new out of the dust, out of the clay parts that are lying around, out of this mess that your life looks like to be. You can form and shape an amazing new artwork that is your life, or that is you as a person. So I really love those cycle ending phases where you just know in your heart that you have outgrown something, but you're still not sure yet where it takes you. And the dreams and the ideas that you have in this period might not last forever and might not be the dreams that you want to pursue in the long run. But I would really recommend you to heed those dreams and to heed those ideas and to really sit down and talk with yourself and be like, okay, I'm sitting in the middle of the rubble. What do you want to collect out of that rubble? And what do you want to take with me? What do you want to throw away? What do I never want to see again? What were my, not mistakes, but what were my actions, or what was my responsibility in everything crumbling? And what of my behavior and of my thinking do I want to take with me in order to rebuild? And what part of me do I want to leave here? What part of me is not supporting me in rebuilding? Maybe there are certain habits of yours or certain thinking patterns where you're like, I don't think that would fit my new life and that would support me in rebuilding. Like, for example, you have always had a feeling of you alone are not enough, and you alone are not able to build a grand life like that just with your own strength and stamina and your own personality. And you re-examine that and you're like, that does not serve me in rebuilding. That does not serve me in a life that is full of adventures and full of magic and full of me inspiring others. That is not a mindset that I want to take with me to this new life. And maybe you are insecure with yourself and you have given a lot of airtime to other people talking down on you and making you feel like shit about yourself because they want to keep you down on that level. And you're like, okay, I see now what they were doing, and I see now that they have played a crucial role in everything crumbling down because I have listened to them for too long, and I have allowed them to, or I have believed them, you know? And if you re-examine that, and when you identify these people and these belief systems or these lies that you've been told by them, then you say, okay, no, I leave them in the rubble. I leave them with the ruins. I leave them with the debris. And I go on, and maybe you do not want to fall out with them, but just by neglecting the relationship or just distancing yourself and letting things go, you already make space and room for new and supportive people to come in. And I think that that's really beautiful in these cycle ending and beginning phases, that you can really sit. You can sit with all the debris. You can sit with all the rubble. You can sit in the ruins and be like, I want to take with me. Or like, I want to take this with me. This I want to leave. This has led everything to crumble. I'm going to leave this destroyer, disturber here, and this shovel for rebuilding I take with me to my new life. I think that, it's really beautiful to do in these ending and beginning phases. And I feel like 2024 was real sitting in the rubble and rebuilding year for me. After everything had crashed at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, and I was really really challenged and asked by the universe to think about the life that I want to rebuild for myself, who I want to rebuild with who I want to rebuild with, who I want to rebuild as, or who I want to rebuild. And I think these are really very, very potent phases, and you come out of this cycle as a completely new human being. And they are really chances. These times are chances for you to really step up and to leave things behind that you have definitely outgrown, and you would not have seen that had there not been a phase of decline and a phase of just maybe destroying certain situations and friendships and relationships and ships in general. A ship sinking time, because then you can emerge from the water as the magical sea creature that you are, the magical being that you are. And they definitely make you stronger, these ending periods. And when you have gone through a couple of death and rebirth periods, you get better with every period. You're like, I've been through this one, and I know that it is time to reinvent myself. And then reinventing is this super fun game that you play with yourself every couple of years, and I actually really like that. And if you like this episode, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and see you around next time. Bye!